I believe business is the one common language humanity shares around the globe. To test this hypothesis, I am on a world tour interviewing ambassadors of every nation. Now, if I had to travel the world, the ideal vehicle would be on a camper van. So, every ambassador we set a playdate with will be playing some Lego with us. My hypothesis is business is the one language that humanity speaks around the world.
Well,
you know, the language of money, the language of profit.
I agree with you.
So, following on that, I want to see what are the similarities around the world from the aspect of business. So, if you can introduce a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Well, my name is CHIKOTI. I'm the current ambassador of Angola to Brussels. That means to the Kingdom of Belgium, but as well to Luxembourg, to the European Union, and to the ACP. And my priorities will be oriented into three areas. One is to work with the Belgian institutions, government, and then local governments as well, to promote Angola in terms of attracting businesses. And at that level, you might be aware that when President João Lourenço visited Belgium, he went to Antwerp, he went to the port of Antwerp, and already a number of activities are now ongoing between Angola and these institutions. My work is also to represent Angola in the ACP, and as you might be aware, the ACP countries have now started their negotiations with the European Union towards a new agreement, which will then be concluded sometime this year, and that will be implemented from 2020. That will be then the new agreement between the two regions. That means the ACP and the European Union. But you're also aware that...
That's great. That's actually a match of equals.
Yes, well...
and it took some time coming, but it's, you know, it's in the right direction.
Every 20 years we do that.
Okay.
But we also have now the African Union meeting, and the ministers of the African Union will be here this month.
How much of this agreement is now aid? Because before it was a lot aid, but now it's, like I said, it matched more of equals, so there's more trade.
Well, yes, well, there is a lot of trade, and that's why when we talk about the ACP, it's that within the ACP we talk globally about all issues related to development. It is true that the total number of 79 countries of the ACP, all of them do export products, their products to the European Union. But within these agreements, there are also specific agreements which are related to specific aid that is given to a number of countries. And so that's how it is done. There are countries which have their own agreements, like South Africa, for example, which has the Northern African countries with a separate agreement.
Okay.
And that's that. But if we have to come back to what my priorities will be, it's that I came to Brussels as ambassador at a particular time when Angola is looking at all kinds of partners, investments. I think that Angola as a country has a lot of potential, which over the years was not fully exploited, apart from oil, which has stood as the major or the main product that Angola has presented to the world, and naturally the diamonds. But as you look at Angola today and look at the new law of investments, the Angolan government is opening the country and all the provinces to outside investment. That there are areas that are open like agriculture, the mineral sector, not only diamonds, but you have gold, you have granites, you have uranium, many other things that will need specialized investors. But one of the challenges of the Angolan government is to diversify its economy. That means to increase its agricultural production. Because as you see over the years, Angola has spent a lot of its resources sometimes importing or acquiring food that it could produce itself inland. And so one of the areas to which we are attracting investors is agriculture, industry, where we could produce a certain number of commodities in Angola, transform them in Angola, and have them consumed in Angola as well. And that's a very big challenge for...
Another big challenge for a lot of developing countries in Asia as well as Africa is decentralization. I mean, there's a lot of population and opportunities in the capital or in the metropolitan cities, but how do you have growth throughout?
Well, in Angola today, we are working on the new law for local elections, which will mean that decentralization will be then taken as well as we give more power to provinces and local communities.
And then it becomes very interesting for businesses because then they can shop around and see which is the most exciting to set up.
Exactly, and that means that if you want to, although the law says that you can do business in Angola anywhere, but if you have a specific local administration present in the area you want to do your mining or your agriculture, then you can deal with them directly, and most of the output of the whole product that you're producing will benefit the local people. So I think that is one of the priorities that the Angolan government is carrying out right now across the country.
So you've worked, you've a very long career in the government, but you also meet a lot of business people all the time. So there's a lot of things that government is learning from business, you know, to do things faster, to be more experimental. But what can businesses learn from government?
Well, I think that's a very good question. I think that in my own experience as a former member of government and today as an ambassador, I think that our members of government need to learn more from the business community. I think that one of the things is that business communities work faster, more efficiently. They want to put their time at profit and to make sure that they gain time in all areas because they're doing a business. Whereas generally in an administration, people generally don't give as much importance to time. Sometimes some laws are not very specific. You come to invest in an area, you don't know specifically if you would have to deal with the minister, with the director, or with the governor. And once you have that imbroglio done, you're not sometimes sure when is it that you can begin. I think most African countries have some kind of bureaucracy. But those who have been able to solve the bureaucracy issue have been able to go better and faster. And I believe that any country that intends to do well in business has to facilitate businesses at local level. That means that I will say, if somebody is investing money in a community to do agriculture, I'll say, well, if he needs land, that has got to be worked out with the local authority. If he needs 500 hectares of land, 200 hectares of land, that should be easily given by the local community. If it is more important, then the government would have to deal with that. But I think that the more you centralize, the more you make your laws easier, the better it is. For example, in Angola today...
So just to interrupt, for a business, what they can learn out of that lesson is to decentralize power from the headquarters into the branches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For example, one of the things that we've done very well in Angola today is that you can register your company in about 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is not a big problem. You register that. But the problem will come when you go into the specific area of your field to acquire eventually the land or
the licenses.
To do that, to have the license or whichever other thing. That's where people generally waste more time.
Yeah.
And sometimes people have also faced corruption.
Yeah.
They may not understand why something is taking too long. They may not know that they needed to give something locally. And that has happened to me. And when I look at a few projects I wanted to do, then you realize that, oh, maybe I should have involved more people locally. But so all African countries, most African countries say that. But the more you reduce this kind of impediments, problems that make it easy, then that's very important. But then you also have to have visa laws that are good and easy, which will make it easy for anyone to travel to your country. Because, well, let's look at it this way. For example, if you're looking at Africa, you're looking at 55 countries. And 55 countries with a lot of potential, all of them are attractive. So the investor will go to the most attractive, to where things are easier.
Investors like water, he's going to find the shortest way.
Exactly. So that's one of the things. So I think that we are also working quite a lot now in terms of the visa issues to make sure that we make it easy. But then again, that's where we have to work very well between the Ministry of Home Affairs and ourselves. How do we guarantee that we're doing we're giving the visas correctly? Naturally, I think that sometimes it's not difficult to identify who is a true investor and who may not be. I think those things can be done very quickly. But also we can attract, for example, tourism through a number of projects that we do in Angola. So I think that today there is more and more things that are being done in a different way, in a better way, in a quicker way, which I think becomes attractive. And also we sometimes are able to get responses that are faster.
Yeah, that's the most important, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
There is just one